Today, it's just me and the Karen. I'm at ESDA, picking up some milk, sugar, a nice loaf of tiger bread and a few other things, when I hear the sound of approaching feet and the familiar harumph of the local Karen. I turn to face her. I've met this one at least twice and dealt with her rather well, for example, www.reddit.com web link. She raises her hand, index finger extended, and opens her mouth in a way that suggests she's going to tell me what to do, and call the manager all in one, when she pauses, having looked me in the eye. Her hand is halfway to its intended destination, and her mouth is open. Paused. "I know you, don't I?" she asks. I nod. "And you don't work here, if my memory serves me correctly. Do you?" "No, I don't." "You're quite correct." The finger is no longer extended. Her hand drops to her side. Her facial expression changes to something more amenable. "You wouldn't happen to know where the Chicago Town pizzas are, would you?" she asks, a little sheepishly. "They are in the freezer. I'll show you." "Okay, I know it's the other end of the store, and I wasn't going there, but this feels right." Then she surprised me with her next question, saying, "I know I was rude to you last time. Why are you being nice and helpful?" I smile, and say, "You asked nicely. I respect that." Well, I showed her to the freezers and she got the pizza she wanted. Then she said thank you. It felt nice today. Wholesome. TL Dr. Karen stops carning when she recognizes me, and is polite. I help her on account of her politeness. Longtime lurker. My first Reddit post smile. Disclaimers, on mobile. English isn't my first language. Please excuse errors if any. TL, Doctor at the bottom. I am 36F, working as a marketing manager in a fairly famous company. Owing for COVID, my calendar is normally chock-a-block with meetings all day long. I work with people on both hemispheres of the globe. To provide some context, I am short and friendly and have clung on to the Y2K fashion for longer than one should and tend to get mistaken for someone younger. My friend, a PhD student, had just completed her thesis from a famous school in town and asked me to come with her to collect her stuff from her workspace and room. COVID rules required her to move her things out if she wasn't using the space. We both sauntered into the campus, grabbed a meal and chatted while packing her paperwork up. I had an urgent call with the country team, so I broke off and decided to find a quiet place to take my call. I was just connecting 5 minutes early when I feel a hand yank me. I still had my headphones on, so I spun around and saw this lady yelling at me. She had the face of a Karen if Karens were melded into smug professors. She looked at me, smiling, with a chin diaper mask, with the "you're so in trouble young woman" grin. It took me a while to disconnect the call and I asked her what she needed. She started yelling at me saying I was playing hooky and I had a class to be in. I looked down at what I'm wearing, skirt and salad fingers graphic tee. Didn't help that I'd colored my hair. I tried to explain to her that I wasn't a student and I needed to get on a call, but she started dragging me into the class I was supposed to be in. My brain just froze because I'm panicking I'm missing an important work call and my friend is nowhere in sight. We're outside a class now and I'm trying to call my friend. She snatches my phone and claims she's seen me do this more often. Really, Professor Karen, now you have a non-existent history of my misgivings. She's convinced she's seen me do this in her class as well as someone else's. She called the professor teaching the class out and asked her to take me in. These are huge classes, so the one teaching also assumes I'm a part of her class. I'm really questioning my clothing/life choices at this point. I was going to give up and just attend that damn class when my friend comes rushing in. I told her what happened quickly, but Karen is now convinced we're both horrid kids that need to be schooled. My friend had left her ID in her room, but I remember I was carrying my visiting card, yes, companies still make those, and my credit card with me. The teaching professor has gone inside, but Karen still has her hand firmly clasping my wrist. She throws away my visiting card and drags the both of us to the dean's office. We're waiting and I can see my MS Teams blow up with messages while she's still holding on to my phone. I wanted to scream, but I'm mortified of confrontation, and clearly so is my friend. The dean calls us in and we explain the situation. Karen keeps telling him that I failed her class and she knows me to pull such stunts. It's gotten personal. I quickly turn around and ask her what my name is, and she says she doesn't remember it but she knows my face. I snatched my phone, showed my credit card, my office profile, thankfully we have those with photos, and the call I'm being pinged for. It slowly dawns on the dean's office to what has happened. Gears are slowly turning in Professor Karen's head. I pick up my things and tell them I'm leaving the campus. I leave behind my card and tell them they can debar me if they find me in the system. I even leave my personal phone number on the card. I'd wanted to see what happened to that horrid lady, but a part of me just wanted to run straight out of there. My friend then told me how it all played out after, but I had an interesting story to tell my colleagues to why I didn't show up for a work call. Edit. Thank you guys for pointing out that this is tantamount to kidnapping. I'm going to go to the university again this week to follow through with the report and highlight all the things you've mentioned on the chat. Hope she never bothers a student ever again. Edit 1. It's an Asian country. Universities are a lot stricter, and if you are pursuing your undergrad you'd not have much say over lecturers/admin. TL, Dr. Professor Karen tries to detain me in a college I don't attend and makes me miss a meeting. Makes a fool of herself at the university office. I worked at Zeta Buddies in Seattle, RIP, and a regular was sitting at the bar. She got up to go to the restroom, and when she passed a guy sitting down eating, he stopped her and asked her for ketchup. I saw the whole thing and laughed, as I picked up a bottle of ketchup to bring it to him, but laughed even more when I saw her stop and look at the guy before grabbing fries off his plate and putting them in her mouth before turning around to continue her way to the bathroom. He was shocked, but I came up a second later laughing with the ketchup and told him next time he might not want to ask someone who had been sitting at the bar since before he got there to fetch him something. I don't want to make assumptions as to why he was making the assumption, but I didn't feel bad for him getting his fries eaten, and I think he knew what he had done because not only did he not complain at all, but he apologized, so I think he knew why what he did was not cool. Edit. I'm sorry that no one in this story was irate. His apology was just him laughing, saying something like sorry my bad. Zeta Buddies rarely had irate people there. It was a Midwestern Ballard bar. Maybe you don't know what that means, but it was great. Hello. TLDR at the bottom. /context. So I've posted before about my safety vest. Due to being in a wheelchair, and people around where I live being utterly vapid, knuckle-dragging and mouth-breathing Neanderthals that don't pay attention, I'm pretty much forced to wear this high-visibility yellow-green safety vest. Where I run into my most constant issue is at a local supermarket. It's owned by Kroger, but locally we know it as Fred Meyer, or Fred Meyers. Their trolley boys, cart wranglers, all wear near-identical safety vests to mine, only theirs actually have black trim added to the vest along with Fred Meyer plastered on the left breast and the back. That, and the employees actually have name tags on. I look like a biker by comparison with my beard, heavy tattoos, all black clothes, and I top it off with a Pride 49ers hat. I mean, the hat alone should be a clear sign I don't work there, but nope. I should also point out that I'm a voice actor. When I'm out in public, I speak with a posh, North London English accent, as I've found due to implicit bias people tend to treat me better. This comes into play here. /the event. This event happened Friday. I headed out to perform what I call the double whammy, picking up my prescriptions from the pharmacy inside Fred Meyer, and doing a bit of food shopping. I waved or greeted my regular employees and managers, as I'm in there so much and so often that I'm a pretty recognizable face. Between my, as I'm told, natural charisma and my appearance, I'm often greeted back warmly, or they greet me initially with politeness and a generally friendly atmosphere by the staff at my supermarket. I had wheeled my chair into the soup pile. There were so many delicious options that I couldn't decide on what to get. I can be a bit indecisive, and trust me when I say never shop hungry. I don't think I was in the aisle more than 5 minutes when I hear the throat-clearing ahem emanate from behind me. I ignore it, because I've no idea it's meant for me or what. It happens again, and I continue to ignore it. That's when this lady grabbed the handles on my wheelchair and spun me around. It took every ounce of effort not to turn and swing on her because I had no idea who she was or her intentions, but obviously she had no qualms over grabbing someone's wheelchair and maneuvering them against their will. Before I could say a single word, our Karen in this situation starts to shout. Hey! When a customer is trying to get your attention, you don't ignore them. I have been trying to get your attention for minutes now, she hadn't, and I don't like your attitude. I take a deep breath, and do my best to unclench my hands from the armrests of my wheelchair. Madam, I am sorry if I've offended you, I wasn't, but I must inform you that I was cut off. Due to my mental quirks and conditioning as a child, any time I'm interrupted I get shut completely down and I can't speak till the other person stops talking, so I went silent. I don't want to hear any of your excuses. Just because you're in a FNG wheelchair doesn't mean you can get away with being an inconsiderate asshole. The world doesn't revolve around you, that's rich, and there are other people in the world far more in need than you. I have half a mind to wheel you over to the service desk and report you to management. I waited a couple of beats, waiting to see if her rant was going to continue, but it didn't. She gave me a look that I could without any measure of difficulty correctly identify as a "your move" glare. I take another deep breath, Mum, fiercely, it's illegal and sociably irresponsible and outright tactless to manhandle a person's disability conveyance without their consent. That counts as assault. While yelling and screaming at me isn't illegal per se, I don't appreciate it. Tell me, Mum, what incentive do I have to assist you at this point? I don't work here, look me over. I don't have a name tag on, I'm in black jeans and t-shirt with a Gay Pride 49ers hat on that clearly isn't uniform. I'm just wearing a safety vest, for my safety. Karen looked like she was about to blow her skull cap with the force of Mount St. Helens, Krakatoa, and Canberra combined. Look it up. I honestly don't remember what she said next. It was something about the typical "how dare you?" stacked with her rant about disabled people always thinking they can get away with anything just because they're crippled. That was when she lived up to her threat. She stepped around me, grabbed the handles and began to push me. I was so bewildered that I froze because I never in 1,000 years would have thought she would actually do this. Now I could have pulled the brake handles on my chair, but that would mean I'd have to take my hand off the merchandise basket in my lap, which would cause it to slip out once we stopped abruptly. Top that off with the fact Karen would smack into my back and the back of my head, and I didn't want that. Two of the regular checkout attendants at the self-checkout area notice me being pushed against my will towards customer service. I can just catch one I'm more familiar with. For the purposes of this story, let's call him Owen. Owen, immediately get on his radio. Before I could do anything more, we were at the desk. Karen immediately starts slapping her hand on the counter in that typical "hey barkeep" kind of manner. A manager, a woman in her late 20s or 30s we'll call Amanda, turns to the Karen. Amanda is quite tall and loaded down with Marvel Comics tattoos, and we're very familiar with one another. Karen launches into a full-blown tirade, accusing me of this, that, and everything from incompetence, to an all-out disregard for customer service. Amanda just blinked, and said, he doesn't work here. What do you mean he doesn't work here? He's wearing a safety vest, and your employees wear the same ones. Well, ours say Fred Meyer on them. We also issue name tags for all employees for transparency, so if you have an issue you know who they are. Op is a customer, he's in here at least 4 times a week. I could hear the hamster wheels turning in Karen's head. So ... he doesn't work here? Let me speak to the store manager just in case. Amanda sighed, picked up her phone, and began to call the store manager. However, that call didn't finish, as the head of Fred Meyer Security, let's call him Clark, came striding over looking quite pissed. Clark is a mountain of a man. 6'5", 250 pounds, and built like a lumberjack. Ma'am, what are you doing to Op? You really just grabbed a disabled person's wheelchair and moved them without their consent. Well, that wasn't the question. You don't do that. Not at my store. But can it? You need to come with me right now. If looks could kill, I'd be dead twice over between Karen's "you little bastard" glare, and Clark's "you dunfed up" look meant for Karen. Karen was escorted off to the security area in the back, sputtering like an old Edsel. Amanda asked if I was alright. I said I really wasn't, that things had been difficult for me this last week. I won't disclose them here, and this really spiked my anxiety. I'm just going to go home. Amanda did her best to comfort me. She stepped out of the booth, and patted me on the shoulder. Owen, the self-checkout attendant, Also asked if I was okay. I said I wasn't really. He offered, if I was comfortable, to push me back out to my car. I accepted. Amanda gave me a card, and told me that when I was ready I could use that number to have my groceries delivered, and for my trouble she'd waive the fee for delivery. I thanked her, and said that it'd be best for now. Owen wheeled me out to my car, helped me get my wheelchair in my trunk, and I drove home. And #X200B /TLDR and #X200B. While shopping and wearing my high-visibility vest, Karen gets upset that I wasn't giving her attention after she cleared her throat to ping me. She berates me for a multitude of reasons. When I refuse to help her, as I don't work at the store, she grabs my wheelchair and wheels me over to customer service. There, she's informed I indeed don't work there, and was carted off by security. And #X200B /edit. At the behest of several readers, my husband, and my immediate friends, family, I've set up an appointment to speak with the store manager, Clark, the security lead, and my local sheriff to go about filing official charges.